Hey guys, welcome back. Bill here. I want to talk to you about carrying a full-size handgun. Now, what I am going to tell you today applies to any handgun, but in the case that I'm talking about today, it's carrying something like, say, a full-size Glock 17 with a TLR-1 in my case. All right. Many of you guys like full-size handguns. Who wouldn't want to carry what they practice with, right? A gun that you shoot better than all the others. So we're going to talk about carrying a full-size handgun, but this applies to all handguns, compact, subcompact. There's some good tips that I'm going to go over, but essentially it comes down to two things. There are two things that you have to have if you want to conceal carry a full-size handgun. And the first one is a good quality holster, and the second one is a good quality belt. All right, so we'll talk first about the holster. I use a Tenacor Malice Sole. I've got a review on it. If you're interested, you can go through my channel and see that review. But it is essentially a universal light-bearing holster from Tenacor that works, in my case, for Glocks and Glock clones. All right, so I carry full-size Glocks like a Glock 17 and full-size shadow systems like the DR920, as well as a Glock 19 and an MR920. So this holster that I carry, that I use, works off of the TLR-1 light, but they make them for the Mod Light as well as the Surefire X300. I, before that, was carrying a Tier 1 concealed MSP Pro holster, and this is probably what I'd still be using today if it wasn't for the Malice Sole. This is a light-bearing holster for the TLR-1 as well that works with just about all full-size and compact handguns, at least the ones that I've tried. And so this is an awesome holster if you are using different platforms, like maybe you use a striker fired and you also use a 1911. All right, this will work well for you. It's a little bit wider than the Malice Sole, but it does work really well and it is pretty comfortable. All right, the second thing that you have to have is a belt, and I personally use Blue Alpha Gear. This is the EDC. It's got a plastic clip, I guess you would call that, or a plastic belt catch. And so for me, I'm allergic to metal, so this works really well. I can carry this all day, and it's very, very rigid. I like that about this belt. Also, because it only uses Velcro, you just run it through your belt loops, pull it through here, and then you can tie it on like this with the Velcro. Works very, very well. And then you can just twist it to place it wherever you want. I like to put the part right here that's the very, very rigid part that doesn't have any Velcro nearby, and use that to run my belt on, or to use my holster on. So you need a good belt. There are lots of good ones. I know Core makes one. I have that one as well, and I do like it, but again, it's got a metal. It uses metal for the belt buckle, and so I can't wear that for very long without breaking out. This one that I'm wearing today is from Tenacor. It's the Zero belt, and I do like it. It's just not as rigid as the Blue Alpha. So I'm gonna try it for a few weeks and see which one. But so far, I do like the Blue Alpha a little bit better, though this one is very, very good. Some of you guys might actually like this one better because it's not as rigid. So it's one of those things with holsters and belts that you need to try. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to probably try a bunch before you land on one that works really, really well for you. So you've got a good belt, you got a good holster. So the next thing that I would recommend is find your sweet spot. All right, so for me, my sweet spot, the spot where I can seal the handgun the best, is gonna be right, not quite at 12 o'clock. I found if I put this with the back plate directly under my belly button, that the frame of the handgun sticks out just a little bit more. So if I move it to 12:30, the frame of the handgun sits against my side and conceals a little bit better. So my sweet spot is about 12:30, with the back plate being at about 12:30. And the frame sticks in really well, and I'm able to conceal it. So you found your sweet spot. The next thing I would recommend is that you remember when you're around in the public, when you're around people in public, that you remember to use good posture. So you want to stand up, pull your shoulders back. What that does is that allows your clothing to hang freely, and that helps to conceal the handgun a little bit more. When we're talking about concealing a full-size handgun, usually what is showing or printing the most is going to be the frame of the gun. So depending on where the frame is, that's where you want to remember to, you're trying to conceal that part of the handgun the most. All right. So when I'm standing up tall using loose fitting clothing, the clothing is able to hang and conceal that part of the handgun a little bit easier. All right, so you've got a good holster, you've got a good belt, you're using good posture, you've got the handgun hidden in the sweet spot of your body where it conceals the best, and maybe you're still noticing that the gun is printing a little bit more than you want it to. My next recommendation would be to get a wedge. All right, so you can see I've got one on my MSP Pro holster. This is a Tier 1 concealed wedge. They come in packs, you can buy them in packs. This is a wide version. So this is a medium on one of the wide versions that they have. They have a standard as well. You can use these on the holsters. You can also use them on like a magazine caddy. I don't carry this, all right, but if I did, I would have a wedge on here because when I carry it, I put it here right beside the holster where the handgun is, and it likes to lean forward. So what a wedge would do is that would push it, tilt it into my body more to help to conceal it. So a wedge is the next tip that I would recommend. I don't actually have to carry one on my malice sole. There's one kind of built into it that works just well enough, and I'm not as worried about it printing because it's concealed very, very well on me. All right, but you can use wedges. I would recommend using wedges if you're still worried about printing, even after you've used the other tricks that I've mentioned here. The next thing that I'll say is clothing. All right, I like to wear dark colors because the dark colors as well as patterns will help to break up the shape of the gun. So even if you're wearing t-shirt, this Georgia weather is beautiful. It's going to be in the mid to high 70s today. But since I work inside, sometimes I'll wear like a long sleeve thin pullover like this one because it helps to conceal. It gives me that extra layer to help to conceal. If I need to take it off, I can then pull this off and have just a t-shirt. But it's another option, right? It gives me the ability to help to conceal the handgun a little bit more. And then if I want to take it off, I can just pull it off. But dark colors and your different patterns will help to break up the shape of the handgun. And that will be one of the things that you'll want to be aware of is, in addition to your posture, once you are out and about, you'll want to notice if your handgun in a lighter colored t-shirt or lighter color clothing, notice, does that handgun print more or is it just as concealed? And if it is just concealed, probably dark colors and different patterns aren't going to be as necessary, but that's something that you can kind of do on a case-by-case basis. So you've got a good holster, you've got a good belt, maybe you're using a wedge, you found your sweet spot, you're using good posture when you're in public around people, and you're still worried about printing. My next tip would be to use someone who you know very closely and trust, and use them as an opportunity to see if you are printing and it's as noticeable as you might think. So what I mean by that is use a wife, a girlfriend, some of your friends, and ask them, hey, I'm carrying a full-size handgun. Can you see it? Do you see any printing on my body? And what you'll learn as you ask these people, what you'll learn is that most people aren't going to notice. And most people aren't even really looking for it, but if they are looking for it, they don't really see it. There might be one or two small spots where it's a little bit more obvious, and so that's what you want to be aware of. But unless it's like a outside the waistband open carry situation, most people aren't looking for it, and even if they are, most people aren't going to notice it. So guys, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, leave them for me in the comments below. Also, if you don't mind, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.